guess before I call the meeting to order, we have a public hearing. Comments or questions on the application for special amusement permit for the Fraternal Order of Eagles, 4030.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you have in your packet, you have a permit application, we're looking for some approval to have a live band in the backyard for a wedding reception to be held on August 8th from 3 to 7 p.m.
You could advertise the public hearing.
That was gonna be my one question. Number 4, the last paragraph. Any licensing requesting special meeting permit shall be notified in writing decision no later than 15 days from the date his request was received. And we're meeting all the requirements there.
Yes.
Looks like they have a wedding on August 8th, so
Yes.
That's right. It
Coverage.
didn't
Yeah.
specify that it had to be, the public hearing notice in the paper had to be 7 to 10 days or anything, so I was able to put it in and it ran on Saturday's Journal, so it has been advertised.
I believe there's a representative from Eagles here this evening, if you have any specific questions on their request.
questions from the board at all?
How many neighbors do you have in close proximity?
Could you just, before you go, could you just state your name and
Sure, Todd Toussaint.
talk to
Yeah, I'm a trustee for the Arundel Eagles. Yeah, we just had the house right next door to us, which we own, and of course we have notified them that this will be going on, and we have a good relationship with them, of course. So.
Anything else from the board? Todd, this is gonna come up again later. Once I call the meeting to order, this is gonna be under new business, so we'll vote under number 8, Article A.
Okay.
So just stick around in case there are any more questions.
Yeah.
Pending no more discussion, I will call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, approval of the agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I just may, seeing that we do have representative from Eagles tonight, you may want to just take that out of order, so you take some action on that early on in the meeting. And I think I don't think anybody else is waiting for any action this evening. That would be my only recommendation.
Any objection to sliding 8A up to maybe between 4 and 5 after the approval of the minutes? Or 4A maybe? Anything else for the agenda? Motion approved as amended.
Second.
Made, second. All those in favor? Public forum. Jack, anything to say?
Yes, I do have one comment, informational. I don't know whether you're aware of it or not, but of our 3 school board members from Arundel. At the last meeting, Mary Beth Luce was elected vice chair of the school board. So I expect she will be in line to chair the school board perhaps the next year or 2. I think that's very significant, and I would hope that we get her in here to talk with you a little more often. There's a lot going on, as you know. Thank you.
I'm hoping to start to attend those
Beg
again.
your pardon?
Because I'm hoping to start to attend those again. I missed quite a few, but I'm hoping to be able to start
Yes,
attending
our-
those meetings, so.
You're the representative from the board, of the school board. Yeah, good.
Who was elected chair?
Uh, Maureen King.
Oh,
was-
she's staying on as chair?
Yeah.
Anything else on the public? Approval of a couple sets of minutes. June 22nd, let's start with that one.
Did correct a few things that I pointed out. Velma was not present on the 22nd meeting. Typo in the following format instead of formal, vote was taken. And, finished off the sentence in agenda item number 2. And on page 2, one for the town manager was corrected as far as currently he is not bonded, not present, not bonded.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of June 22nd.
Motion's been made,
Second.
seconded. Assuming there's no more discussion on the minutes, all those in favor, accepting the minutes?
And I'll abstain.
One abstention. And we've got a second set for July 13th.
Move to approve as submitted.
I'll second that.
Seconded. All those in favor? Those minutes pass as well. Moving along. Special amusement permit from the Eagles. Applications in the packet. Second made to approve, seconded. Any more discussion on the permit? All those in favor?
All set?
Thank you.
Just don't think, if everybody read through this, we got a couple of typos on our special amusement permit
Oh, okay,
regulation.
on the regulation.
Right, yeah.
Permit.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm not, on the, what we adopted here in terms of special, it's just some, we've got Title A, MRSA 1074, that should be 28A
Okay.
on the last page. And then under D, I don't know why there's between his and presence, there's an M. Second sentence, or second line.
So that, committee and board reports. Which there's none listed.
There is a planning board meeting this Thursday. The last week's was canceled due to lack of a forum, so there will be a meeting Thursday, July 30th, 7 p.m. in the library.
Any other committees, boards? Moving along, managers report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Monday, I attended a meeting to begin to review some of the draft deed language as well as a memorandum of understanding that will be entered into between the school and the town relative to this property and properties behind us that are owned by us. There are certain things that I believe both attorneys are still working on to ensure that proper language is in there to make sure the right of ways are clearly defined and that the right way to get back to the property is obviously established. I know that the survey, if not done, it's almost done. I saw a preliminary review of it, but I haven't seen the final survey yet at this particular point. There was, we were also trying to make sure that there's proper language in here on the parking lot, the use by the town of the parking lot area. That would be ours exclusively unless we end up selling, what I understand, selling the land behind there, and they would like to see that the parking lot use would go away if the town had sold it, which I don't think we're going to be selling that property. And then there was some language in there on the existing septic system, the repair and maintenance. That's what I gather that's in there at this particular point. I know that Leah's working to finalize some pieces. I think she had some discussions with Tom in reference to the memorandum of understanding. So I think things are coming together. I know that I wouldn't be surprised if you have a clean document in front of you at your next business meeting. As I understand, they're trying to wrap up this deed language and get the sign-offs that they need because they're looking to establish the bond and start renovations to the school. So it's time sensitive, but I view it as being in their ballpark to make sure all the things are put together and ready to go.
CMP, Jeff?
Yes, I'm sure that you folks have far more knowledge on this than I do, but I've been able to gather some more information relative to it appears to me a 28-year utility safety TIF that we have with Central Maine Power. To provide that TIF would be to capture a value of infrastructure that they've now put into the right-of-way, which includes new utility lines, new services, and that sort of thing that comes with a value. In that captured value, it's our intent to go ahead and buy types of equipment that would assist us in forest fighting, any type of remote effort, be it a brush truck, I've seen 4x4 or 6x6 utility type of apparatus to get off the road, equipment, training. I think as the years progress, there are certain parts of that will also include the possibility of capturing some of that money to buy a new engine when the time is appropriate, and some updates or some repairs to the existing fire station in order to accomplish that. The issue that I'm having, and I'm sure that you probably are also having as well, is what's the captured value? Speaking with the assessor, there was a thought process last year that the captured value was going to be a little over the $2 million mark. And based on that, we were looking at around $43,000 to $44,000 worth of value a year that would be coming to that TIF. We have now discovered that this year that they've reduced their value even more, which which gives us a captured value of about 1.2. It's gonna get us in the $24,000 to $25,000 ballpark of value. And it will really depend on what happens with the tax rate, whether that's gonna be going up much. But in essence, it's gonna be a little bit lower. That, to me, sprung the effort to find out through the state as to how come these utility companies are able to establish their own value. And what can we do as a municipality to intervene to make sure that we're getting the proper value? Because what Central Maine Power is now arguing with us is that they did not get the right value the first time, and that now the value is correct. The value is established statewide on how many strand miles you have within the municipality, and then there's a value established with that. So for me, I'm still trying to get a better handle so I can advise you more properly as to what that value is. So it's a work in progress for me to see if there's another mechanism for us to make sure that we're getting the real value. I'm not sure if we will need to hire in the future some independent commercial utility assessor to come in and look at that to make sure we're getting the right value. Because we have a 20-year period there, I'm really concerned about that. What it does, however, though, is it begins to change what we can afford in the first 6 years of this TIF. From what I understand, the first 6 years we were going to try to buy a brush truck. Initially, it came in anywhere between $170,000 to $190,000 for this truck, as well as some of the other equipment which only totals about $35,000 to purchase. So I contacted the fire chief and the deputy, and I said, look, let's start looking at this. It looks like we can go ahead and purchase some of it. Met with them earlier this week. They believe that the brush truck value at $170,000 to $190,000 is way high, and that this truck should be somewhere around the $70,000 to $80,000 mark. So they're looking to get those numbers for me. If that's the case, then I think that we have enough captured money in there to take care of phase one of the project, which would include the purchase of the truck, as well as the other incidental items that go along with that first phase, the first 6 years. So it's a work in progress. I'm still not comfortable with the value yet, so I'll keep you advised as to what I discover, and we'll see what we do from that point forward.
This value has changed a couple of times, hasn't it?
From what I understand, I think the first value that was approached to you had it somewhere in the $80,000 range that you were going to capture for value, which we're nowhere near that value at this point. So I want to make sure that what we have is a good number and that that number can be supported.
So who ultimately makes the call?
Ultimately, from what I understand, the utility companies, whoever they may be, give you a value. And then generally municipalities say, okay, well, that's the value, let's move on.
Okay. Ultimately, our call, wouldn't it, in terms of?
I would think so.
Yeah, I mean,
I would think that, if we think the value should be more, then they would file, then they file an abatement with us. But the issue I have is, I want to make sure that how we get to that value. And I may have to approach you again about hiring somebody to come in and actually look at that and make sure we're getting the right value. That's where I am with
Agreed,
this.
yeah.
So a couple things going on. We've got the fire service looking at trying to get a better value for that brush truck. I'm looking at the values of the captured values for the TIF. But I'm confident that it won't be this fall because we're going to miss the fall deadline for bond request. But come the spring, we may be in a position that we can go ahead and purchase the first phase of that stuff.
Tony, would there be something in the deed that would state the value?
No. Looks like there's nothing in the deed to your house that gives you any idea what it's value.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, the utility is different. I didn't know if the utility had, you know, there's gotta be something in writing somewhere that says that they determine their own value, I would imagine. Why would they, why, if that, you know, this has been since day one, right? I mean, since CMP has had that, who's determined their value? Somebody somewhere that must have said, well, they determine it. not
Well, I think
us.
what Keith is saying, they determine if we accept it.
Right.
Yeah.
They give us a value, but
Right.
the town has generally said, excuse me, and that's not unusual for, other municipalities to do the same thing. The value is given to them, oh, okay. And that's the value.
I think that's a different assessment than what Beth does on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
with Everything, I mean, that's a pretty specialized area to figure out what that valuation should be, what the appropriate assessment should be. So I think that's why you need somebody, an expert in that area.
It's difficult because there are no comparables.
Right,
Unless you find another utility company that has other,
Was there ever anything
Similar.
done for the Eastern Trail going over the pipeline at all, anything? Was there any?
the pipeline, they pay taxes on the pipeline and everything.
But who determines that value?
That I'd have to check with her because there are a couple of
Maybe the same
pipelines.
thing,
There's
right?
one that runs the CMP line
Right.
and there's this one by the Eastern Trail. I don't know who determines the value on the pipelines, but that
Yeah,
might be
and I'm
something.
wondering if utilities, if they did,
Well, you know, the funny thing is, we probably wouldn't give it much thought, but when we look at the capture value in order to do infrastructure upgrades, it's pretty important.
yeah, I mean, if I remember right, I mean, this thing at one point was up real high, and then they went down.
Right.
And then when it finally went to vote, the value was actually a little bit better than what we, so it moved around quite a bit here. It's like, okay, you know, what's going on here? Why is this thing changing so often?
Right now, there's about a little over 50,000 in the account. So, I mean, if we went ahead and purchased the incidentals, that I call incidentals, instead of the brush truck, we could have all that stuff as soon as we get the RFPs out. But I think it may be to our benefit to find out, to nail down the proper value for the truck.
What about, what's Kennebunk doing? Are they just accepting it?
I'm not sure, I haven't talked to the town manager down there, but that may be a phone call that we need to make.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, if they have any questions, maybe we can share the costs of an expert witness.
Yeah, because they've tiffed that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they've got, what, a couple big power stations there. I have a question on the value and the TIF. Is this the year, I'm talking 15-16 tax year, that we have to spend some of that central Maine TIF money? I thought,
I think we can capture it. I think the goal was to, the first is to do a six-year bond to do the first part. But the money's being captured now. We started capturing it this past year. So the money's there. We can begin to purchase items with that money at this point.
but we don't have a time frame that we have to spend that money.
I don't believe so. I didn't see that anywhere in there, though you probably, I think the timing may have come up because there was a phase in of this. Phase one, they wanted to have this stuff done. Phase two, this. Phase three,
I thought we had 5 years.
You want to ask Tad about that.
Yeah,
think
I thought he
Velma's
said
right.
something.
He was saying something,
Yeah.
we were under some time constraints, which is
Yeah.
what we used to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, if we are, I think we're in a position to go ahead and
Yeah.
start the first phase almost immediately. The issue we'll have is, purchasing some of that stuff, and I think the brush truck is sort of important to that whole thing as well, because they need something to haul the stuff around here, and they were hoping the brush truck would be the solution.
That could be a lease purchase with us paying 50% of the cost, and then 50%.
Anything else, Mr. Manager?
Not at this time. I got a couple other little incidental things, but I'll wait till the end of the meeting and just, bring them along, just more information.
Moving along to old business. Review town-owned property bid documents.
Yes, you had asked to be provided, there was some confusion as to what we actually wanted to put out to bid. I put together some documents for your review. review, listed the properties that we were contemplating at the time. They're on the list, and, you know, unless there's significant changes or modifications to the document, we would go ahead and begin that process. I can tell you that I visited most of these properties in, I don't know what we're gonna sell in Riverwine, because it just doesn't exist. So, it may be to our benefit just to eliminate that, from that. The other ones seem to be there, at least as I can gather, but the Riverwine one, as I got to the end of the road, I was in the marsh, and I was trying to wonder where those lots were.
Right ahead of you.
That's correct.
Should we consider holding back on Pullman Road for a little while till we figure out what we're gonna be able to acquire for land? I know that's not the most desirable place to be, but what if the voters say you shouldn't sold that, that's where you're gonna go?
Well, we still have the property that we own on Weir's. This isn't
This
that
isn't the
property.
same
That's not the same
No,
property?
No.
this is a 30-acre piece up there.
It's up near
By Tire Warehouse.
Oh,
That is-
okay,
It
yeah.
used to be Bergeron, I think it's what,
Robert?
Robert. Yeah, that Robert, yeah,
Yep.
that's not the best land out there. Okay, my mistake.
You thought it was the other piece.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I think you had decided at your last meeting not to really, excuse me, I was just trying to gather what you all were saying.
That's all?
Just as a, something to consider, I wasn't here for that meeting for the discussion of the land. I guess my concern with the Portland Road property near Tire Warehouse is the value, because of the seasonal cottages, going to only increase in value for us to sell it at a later date, maybe to hang on to it for another few years. And that, you know, the potential for new businesses, I mean, it might not be the best land, but if a water park or an amusement park comes along, you know, it doesn't need the best property to be able to put something there. And I hate to see something like another storage unit or something go there when the value might be, you know, given another 5 years when the seasonal cottages are up and running.
but we don't have to accept the bid, right? We can just keep it out there if it comes in and we look at it and somebody says, we'll give you $1,000 and we can say, you know what, let's hold on to it. I mean, we don't have to accept it. I mean, I don't think it hurts to leave it out there, we just.
The other thing that I don't think has come before the board, Tad a while ago had mentioned something, and I don't think it's ever been brought to you, that small River Road area that's like a little 2-acre lot right by the railroad tracks. He had mentioned at one point that he could even get grant money for it, that he could, had in mind like doing a little railroad park, so that basically it could be like a little park for Arundel residents to like go for a picnic or whatever, and have like a platform to view the trains as they go by and things like that. And he had that in mind as far as a park for Arundel. And I don't think he's ever, you know, like fleshed it out or anything like that, but I know that was brought up at one point. So that might be something that before you finalize any bids, that maybe he could sketch out a quick little idea of what it was, because that is something that Arundel doesn't have. I know, again, last week when I was on vacation, I took the kids to the Park Street playground, because, I mean, there are no playgrounds in Arundel for Arundel people to go to. You have to go out of town, you know, West Kennebunk or Kennebunk or anything. So other than the school playground, there's no picnic area, there's no nothing around it. So that was a possibility, so I don't know if that's something you wanted to kind of just give you a quick, you know, possibility on, and if they can get it through grant money or something, that might be something, you know, to consider before you sell it.
I have to agree with him on it.
Yeah.
I just got a couple of comments on the notice, Keith. first sentence says, please take note of town of Berlin will conduct a public sale. That sounds to me like an auction. And I think we're gonna accept bids for, right?
A sale by sale bid.
I mean, that just, public sale always, it sounds like something, we're gonna conduct the sales and
An auction type.
we're just looking for bids.
Gotcha.
And the other thing is, why 15 days? I know you just picked that out, but somebody's bidding on this property, I think we gotta get the money. And we accept it, we gotta, 7 days from the date of acceptance or something like that. We can kind of change the mind.
Keep the deposit, but. Yeah, that's fine.
Where was that one, Norm?
There's two sections in here, it calls for closing on,
Yep.
you sign a purchase and sale agreement within 15 days, and I'm just saying, we gotta close the transaction within 7 period.
With those changes, do you want me to proceed with these and pull a couple out? I think Riverwind is, I mean, it's not like when I first began to look at this, I thought we had an abundance of them, and we actually don't. So waiting and holding off isn't going to impact us very much at this particular point. And if you're still interested, I think we'll still have many months here prior to the snow flying. So if people wanted to take a look at it, they could. So it's entirely up to you. I'm not.
Well, the Riverwine property, there are some abutters, right? I think you mentioned that there might be somebody that,
No, that was the one on River Road. The abutters on River Road would be interested in that, bidding on that parcel. It goes up to bid. I think we've tried Riverwine before, and I think it cost us more for the advertising, and,
well,
And
obviously
nothing
if you didn't
came in.
sell it, it definitely cost us.
Yeah.
Even if you're in a butter down there, why would you spend any money on it?
Yeah.
Nobody else is gonna buy it, it's gonna be forever as it is right
Small.
now. Yeah.
The same with the Old Post Road, that's kind of just a little wedge in there. We had tried selling it to, and we had even sent notices to the abutters saying,
Right.
would you like to bid on it?
Nothing.
But I knew we heard about
Well, we
it.
have
I'm
people,
amenable to anything, whatever you want to do.
we have people building on lots that are less than an acre in this town, so, and that's,
I don't think there's any right of way on it to access.
well, that's landlocked.
You want to go ahead with what we have?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make the changes that have been proposed. We'll go from 15 to 7 days, make sure it says sale by seal bid on the top. And we'll move forward with some advertising and see what kind of activity we get.
Are we gonna create like an end date? What that line is blank?
Right.
Before 4 PM on such and such
Yeah,
2015.
If you want me to, what I will do is I'll probably make that end date on 4 PM on a Friday, so on a Monday, the following Monday, you folks will be meeting, so you can look at the bids, open them, discuss them, and decide what you wish to do. So that would be my goal, so I will try to set it up so we're.
Which newspapers are gonna advertise this in?
Um,
What do we usually use, a bit of the Journal and then Kimber?
Usually you would do the, Lincoln Journal, Post,
Star.
Portland's very expensive.
Yeah,
The
now.
Portland Press is outrageous as far as.
Usually we do what, the bit of the Journal and the Star.
Shelley, you're with the Costa? She said she'd do it for nothing in the Costa.
I don't take care of that stuff.
Yeah.
I just do this. I can put you in touch though.
Okay, anything else on town-owned property? Review of Jack's list.
Going back to town and property, are we going to work on some of the mobile homes that we discussed?
they had held off on those at this point.
So, I mean, as far as, I guess I'm concerned about liability, that we have not, are we going to send any evictions or, because we have two and people are living there and I don't believe we're insuring it. I don't know, hopefully they're insured, but we have not insured them.
I asked Keith last time whether anybody's occupying these. They didn't know.
Yeah.
They're both occupied.
So, one of them, we had previously done a contract and then it paid up and, caught up and back again. And the other one is a new one, so, I guess I just, right now it's been since
You want us to
January.
just try to provide some notice to see if they're willing to work with getting the property back, or do you want us to go ahead?
Probably not worth much of it.
No, mobile home's always a problem.
So if, I would say if we can get them to make
Oh, yeah.
an agreement, a contract.
Excuse me, the staff will work on it and see what we can come up with.
Jack's list.
Yeah, I provided, copy of the list to you. I tried to, update it as best I could at this point. I think I also gave you some other information relative to it, but, as you know, our legal matters with, the boys' livestock are pending. They're still, outstanding, so I guess that's a, waiting for some sort of legal action to take place. So as soon as that begins the process, I'll let you know. I think on the next one, on the foundation up on at Cape Butter, I provided you some information relative to that and what I gathered as to what was transpiring there. But in a nutshell, we have this outstanding bill, or we have paid it. I'm not quite sure what you want to do with getting reimbursement for it. If you recall, my memo to you was that I've had a discussion with the property owner who actually has just said that he believes that he doesn't have to pay that bill. That the agreement that he was under was with a different engineering firm, who he has paid half the bill, and he's paid the whole bill and sent half of the money to us to pay us back, because Jack had worked out an agreement to send half the money to L&L. So we still have this outstanding balance, and I'm not sure where you want to go with it.
It didn't make any sense to me when I read it. Maybe I read it wrong, but, so they neglected to get a initial building permit to pour the foundation?
Correct.
In doing so, code enforcement wanted a third-party review of the foundation?
Correct. Once they
And
came
the
in.
homeowner agreed to get his own third party? That doesn't make any sense.
No, what was happening was that there was some communications between a bunch of people, both town officials and, excuse me, the property owner. The town officials had reached out to the property owner and said, do you know anybody that can do a third-party review? He said, yes, I do. I'll contact them. He contacted them. The town also contacted another person, and then there was some miscommunication that was happening at that point, as far as I can determine, in that the town agreed to hire one firm when the property owner thought the other firm was going to be hired.
So, from my perspective, I'm not sure that even if we were to go to court with this, I don't think we have clear documentation on that we were gonna hire L&L for them, right? So,
Correct.
my only comment would be that, much as I hate to do this, we eat this, but we gotta be careful with this guy and make sure that we document every little single thing. There's a pattern growing here. And, time we make sure we cover ourselves.
You know, I'm willing to do whatever the board wants us to do, but I think in the end of the day, I think, there's enough confusion here to question what actually transpired. And that I think that what's remaining for an outstanding balance would certainly be eaten up in terms of lawyer fees and effort to recoup your money in court, so.
I talked about this with the owner one-on-one, and he says you do what the board can do, or the town can do, whatever they want. He will not pay that bill, and he'll go to court, and he'll fight it forever, because he made it very clear that he does not intend to pay the bill.
Well, I think that with the bill for L&L, I mean, when that bill came in and the town paid our half and he paid his half, and he immediately sent the town a check that you're holding for the other half. So he made a good faith effort to pay what he felt he owed. And I think that there was enough miscommunication between the left hand and the right hand that I just think we should drop the rest.
The analogy I often use is too many chiefs, not enough Indians
Yeah.
involved in this
Yeah.
process. And I think it needs to be ultimately, whatever third-party review has to be handled through the code enforcement officer and not anybody else within the town. And so he has complete, jurisdiction on it to make sure that it's done properly, so.
Well, we have the rest of the check to put towards that bill, so that will be taken care of anyway.
Right.
You know, I'll make a motion that we take care of the $21.
I'll second that.
So we're actually out $1,050.
Yeah, for the, whatever the difference is, yeah.
And what will that come from, legal?
We've already paid, we got paid in last year's budget cycle, so.
So what are we gonna credit the check towards?
Oh, that's,
Legal?
yeah, we'll be here today, I can certainly will.
So a motion's been made and seconded to, I don't know what we're actually voting on, if it's already been paid.
Not to pursue any.
No,
Yeah.
Any more discussion on that?
Yeah, my only discussion would be, when it comes to these folks, we need to make sure that we have one point of contact, and because there's always one little thing after another. If it's, it's a big project, it's a great project, it's a nice project, but it always seems like it's one little thing after another over there. And, this can't be happening.
While we're on Patriots, is it the bulldozer that's free? I see the sign up there, with the bulldozer behind it.
Could be. I don't know where the sign is, I didn't see it.
It was out by 111, it's a big free sign.
Yeah,
Closest thing to it was your bulldozer.
well, maybe we ought to go move it.
So motion's been made, seconded, all those in favor?
The next thing on the list is the landfill. We're working with MAI Environmental to get all the paperwork done. The initial information's been given to the DEP. We've reached out to the property owners that we have to maintain their water systems. That's being done. So that's a work in progress, and we'll stay on top of it as we continue to move through. The next piece is, I'm sure you probably know more about it than I do. Evidently, we had our ambulance service went to Kennebunk to assist in an individual over there. To make a long story short, I guess there was some refusal for him to go to the hospital. Police were trying to negotiate with him to make sure he went in the ambulance. make a long story short, he finally just slammed the door in their face. And I guess that predicated the law enforcement officials to put him into custody. And as a result of that, not only he's got a claim in the suit against Kennybunk, and we've sort of been attached to it as a result of our ambulance personnel being on scene. So what's happening, evidently, they've hired a company out of Kennybunk to do a third-party review of the incident. They tried to mediate and settle this case, but it did not settle. So they've hired another company to come in and look at the case all over to see if they've missed anything. They wish to interview and take statements from our two employees that were there that evening. They're all agreeable to do that. So I've seen that both municipalities are insured by the same company. I guess it's just a work in progress at this point. We'll see where it goes, but that's where we are. The Christmas, Public Works Christmas accident that happened evidently, from what I can understand, back in 2012, is finally going to mediation on the 7th of September. So I may know more after that mediation around as to what the status is of that. The seasonal cottages up on Route 1 is still a work in progress. I did send you a quick note at some point here in the recent past about the owner would like to have representatives from the municipality come to his site to do a open house type of thing. So at some point in the future, you're going to have to decide what time, if any, we're going to be involved in that open house process. I have, as I mentioned in my email to you folks, have some concerns about the timing of that. And hopefully the timing is later on in the process, not early on in the process, which oftentimes may send the wrong message to folks. So I want to make sure that the timing is correct.
What would you think are the wrong messages that would send to the folks? I'm just kind of curious.
Well, my issue with that is, oftentimes there's a perception that people may think that municipal officials are there, town department heads, we're kicking off a project which is just starting. We're all excited about it, and I am too. But at some point down the road, there's probably going to be some bumpy roads in terms of enforcement. And I don't want to have a perception that we're providing to the general public that our endorsement of this early on is a way of mitigating whatever enforcement that need to be happening in the future. It may be just me that has that perception. You folks may think it's fine, and I'm willing to do whatever you want. But that's my only concern with getting involved in a project very early, when other things may have to happen on the project enforcement process. You're going to need to make a decision probably sometime in August. How much involvement you want in that, and whatever it is, we'll gladly do it.
The walls down there are fantastic. I mean, they're
Beautiful.
walls. And there's
If
one,
you've driven by and seen
Yeah.
those walls, it's just
Yeah.
fantastic.
and there's one cottage that's finished.
This is definitely the biggest thing that's happening in Wendell.
Yeah, a long time.
Wouldn't it be to our advantage in some way to go ahead and visit the project periodically? We'd see it going on, and when it came time to make any kind of decision, good or otherwise, we would know what has been going on and what's happened, how it's being built. Might make it easier for us to make a decision, especially if it's not in their favor. we would have a little bit more of a handle of how it's being done.
Sure.
Who are you talking about, Phil? You talking about like code enforcement officer, planner, or
No.
town manager, or?
I'm talking about the invitation for the board
Yep.
and the department heads you talked about.
Yep.
I think it would be a good thing for the town if the department heads and the board saw it in progress.
I don't object to that. The only reason I'm cautious is that in my past life in other municipalities, I've had this come back and haunt me. And so maybe it's me more than concerned about it than others. I think it's an exciting project. I'm really, from the plans that I saw, I'm really pleased with what I've seen. Then I have driven by. It looks like it's quality work. It's something that we can all be proud of. And it may be just the fact that when the time comes and he invites us, we go.
I share your concerns a little bit about that. I mean, we're out there essentially advertising this and endorsing it, and sometimes the perception is that if anything needs to be addressed, we're gonna look the other way, or,
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily so, but there could be that perception out there. So, I mean, at least the developer needs to know we're happy with the project and we're out here to see it and encourage it moving forward, but they ought to know. If something comes up, they're gonna be treated like anybody else. They don't-
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The next on Jack's list was a concrete driveway on Talbot Drive. Evidently, the culvert has heaved. Generally, this is not an issue. We're responsible to replace the culverts. But the unique factor here is that we have a concrete driveway, which we had an estimate of about $2,800 just to put the concrete back. So I know that Roger's trying to work with the property owner to see if they're going to absorb part of that cost associated with that. I think he tried to put some asphalt back, but it just wouldn't look right. So we're sort of pending. Hopefully the property owner feels that, he can kick in their money to fix that. We will see. The property on Limerick Road that we looked at for the town office, our 30 days are up, so I'll probably just make an inquiry as to see what his status is at this point. See where he is.
This could be a long process.
Okay. It may be. I'm not familiar with the probate process. I'm not familiar how long it takes. I know we're out of state, and it's only take long.
Which means that we
Should we look at?
should, we gotta start looking elsewhere. I mean, that doesn't bode well, I don't think, moving forward. I think, personal representative or executives, I mean, just issues with the siblings, I think, that could take some time to resolve.
Usually things like that do not go relatively quick, so.
So I think we should start
Okay.
putting the feelers out again, see what else might be available out there.
I know we do have some of our own property. Is it something that we should be revisiting again for our own sites, or should we be looking at another alternative site? Or is it something that we should just add in the mix?
At one time, we were looking at that property at the corner of River Road and Route 1, opposite Kitty Corner from the River Market. I think Todd had talked to the owner there.
That was talked to,
Yeah.
yes,
You wanted to meet with us, I don't think that is.
Yeah.
That never happened.
right, we want to keep that.
But he was
Yeah.
ready and willing to go. And we ended up
Look
not.
what the trade on Mountain Road. Somebody wants to move a road on Mountain Road.
So, do you want me just to sort of pursue that a little bit, see if there's
Yeah,
a
just want to see what's happening.
Okay.
Pass that to you.
Um,
Would we look, excuse me,
I don't know how far you wanna go on the list, I mean, take some time here if you wanna go through the rest of the
All right,
list.
we've done half of it, you wanna do half of it?
There's not too much left, I mean, at the end of the list, there's a lot of that's been done, and on the other side. The second page, almost all of it's been done.
There are some things missing though, that aren't on this list.
Okay,
I forgot to bring my sheet that Jack provided to us, but
I've got it here. We've got on here fire department, and maybe you're addressing that later on, but
yep,
the situation over there. The other thing you wanted to look at, I know he's getting some pushback, is whether some of our employees ought to be salaried employees, planners, CEOs.
yes.
He was also wondering whether we should have a purchase order system in place. He was a little shocked that we did, because he's like, what?
We
And
did,
I don't know what you think about that.
we did for a while, I remember
Yeah.
Lisa Vargas was very strict about
Yeah.
using POs, and then it kind of just went by the wayside, so.
I don't know what you think about that.
I think it sort of provides another checks and balances, as you're purchasing items, and, you know, particularly, I think anything over $5,000 is pretty well, it's not even going to, have some RFPs and that kind of, but anything lower than that, if it's outside the ordinary scope of what they do, I don't think we need to have Roger do a PO when he's buying gravel. But some unique things, it may be something that we should consider. Perhaps I'll talk with Lisa a little bit more about it, and, maybe try to put something together.
He also mentioned something about website control or centralization, or getting an IT person involved. And the other thing he has, I don't know, he was concerned about the condition of our existing town hall, both in terms of its, some of the conditions on the outside and some of the conditions on the inside. He thought the cleaning service perhaps needs to be ramped up a bit.
I had some concerns about the maintenance of the facilities that we have. I don't think we have the funding in the budget this year to address some of that, but some general maintenance items, both on the fire station as well as the town hall. Because we're still uncertain as to where we're gonna be moving on, but some general painting and light carpentry work and things along that nature should be done to the outside of the town hall.
And I think we put a little extra money in the budget this
Okay.
year. Did we?
I thought we did.
Jack was.
Okay, I'll double check it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Until we do move, we gotta take care of
I
one.
think we do too.
Yeah.
Okay, let me double check that then, and I'll get back. If we have the money there, then we'll go ahead and try to coordinate to see if we can get some folks in to maybe work with us on an hourly basis to get some of that work done, where we control it a little bit more. So,
We got a lot of contractors in town,
but then we do.
cheap labor.
Did we ever get the memorandum of understanding, agreement with Lyman Code Enforcement? Is that ever been? I know the Code Enforcement Office is back.
Right,
Yeah.
once Jason had mentioned it in one of your business meetings, I got a hold of Jim. Jim reached out, and evidently they were working part-time and still working just evenings, but they're gonna be getting back on a regular schedule. They wanna do it, and so won't we. So it's in the works, it's just a matter of logistically getting it set up.
There was a conflict of interest item, I don't think we ever really got the right answer on that. You know, there was discussion about that, and we need to make sure that we're covered with that. Because our charter states that you can't be employed by the town. And we avoided that. That's what our charter states. So there was concerns on that, and I think we ought to make sure that we're clear with that also.
Okay. Are we referring to the CEO in line?
No.
Okay.
No. We can discuss,
Okay.
it's in, when we get to the executive session.
Okay.
It's part of that.
All right, very good.
was the Wendy, was it general assistance,
Jazz commented that Wendy's job's description is not particularly fit with
oh, true, that's
what
right.
she does.
She does a lot.
Yeah. She's not just a GA.
She's everything.
Councilor Simone, I mean, everybody.
She does everything.
Right?
We're all and Ann, I think, is going in September, I think it's in September, to take the GA
Oh, really?
class, so that she can back up Wendy, so when Wendy's gone, if somebody comes in, she will be able to help
Yeah,
out, so.
Ann stepped up big this past week, and Wendy was gone, and we had a couple GA things, so
Yep.
she helped a lot.
It seems like we've got an outstanding group of girls over there.
Oh, yeah.
I would think
I
we
have
ought to
to
start
admit-
doing some perks and.
I gotta tell you that, you know, the work that they get done and the time that they have is very, very good. Very pleased with what happens there. I think we talked about the L&L engineering bill, which Jack took care of in May. I'll go ahead and deposit the other funding that we just returned. Understand the planning board secretary item is still on hold, as a result of the existing secretary still willing to do the work. So it's sort of sitting there, I don't know until we figure out what's gonna happen.
Is she stated that she wants to be done, or is she?
She hasn't.
I believe what was the issue was when they were meeting almost every week for a
Right.
while before the meeting, and it was getting to be too much,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Maybe they can retain her for a while. She does a pretty good job.
I think unless I'm mistaken, the status or any discussions on the Curtis Road Public Park are done. The air conditioning damage at as a result of a lightning strike at the fire station has been taken care of. It's all done. Jack took care of the RSU 21 retirement issue before he left. The sheriff's department invoice and opposition relative to it has all been taken care of. Our Pine Tree Waste Agreement has been updated as of June. The speed on Limerick Road is a non-issue. And then the ongoing and pending on the Lyman Speedo contract. And then the Ford Motor Company rebate that we now receive, we got it as, the paperwork was done and confirmed on the recent ambulance we just purchased. Excuse me, we saved over $3,200 as that rebate system, and that rebate is good for any Ford product that we purchase at any time. That VIN number is now ours to keep, so we'll keep that in mind as we purchase new equipment in the future. That's all I have on the list.
Well, I appreciate going through it.
I think it's important that we just stay up on the things. I'll review the list. I'll add the things that Tommy just spoken about, because I don't think I had them on any of the lists I had. Maybe I just missed them, but
One thing I didn't mention, but that's really for us, is we, as a board, I think we need to, we haven't done it in a long time, sit down and set some goals. Yes. It's always something we put in the back burner.
We kind of talk, you know,
Yeah.
on and off, and
Yeah.
Let's take Jack's list. C is open. You said you had some little tiny things in the calendar. Excuse me. You want to keep that under old business?
yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it's really. It's just more information purposes. Generally, I would send it to you via email, but I have you here, so I can tell you, or I can send it via email. If something has to make. Probably go over it. I think you already know about the purchase of the ambulance. we're waiting for final paperwork. The check has been drawn. Tomorrow it'll be sent. And it's a matter of them sending us the title paperwork so we can go ahead and register it. We have insurance on it, they have insurance on it, so it's doubly insured at this point. We're trying to get the timing because it needs to go and have radios put into it, so, but as soon as that's all done,
What's the time period for that, once we send it out to get the final stuff?
they're looking at, getting that in service before the end of the month. Before the end of August, I should say, not July, before the end of August. And the reason being is that, the existing ambulance at that point, the paperwork would have to be redone on that ambulance, to keep it, in service, so, the thought is to go ahead and make the transition and get it up and running.
So we're on track to meet that deadline?
Yes, that deadline will be met, I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, local road assistance, information, or reimbursement from the state will be coming in before December 1st. I think it met specifically what we had budgeted in the, as anticipated revenue. It's just over, pretty close to 41,000, it's $40,848. The state sends us that, we have to identify, that money has to be used for upgrades and improvements on roads. Because we're spending over $200,000 in roads, we certainly need to go as to getting a reimbursement from the state. So that'll be coming forward to us. I believe that was anticipated in the anticipated revenue budget. I believe we received a letter. That's all I have right now, Mr. Chairman. I did receive a letter from one of our social service agencies, but I don't recall which one it is, that they're closing their doors.
Oh, that was the bid for free clinic?
Yes, that was it. Free Clinic is closing its doors, so then they no longer will need a contribution from us moving forward, so. That was the only other piece that I had, that I thought I had the letter here.
Any other old business?
I do have a quick question. So in the July 13th minutes, there was, you made a motion on the police contract, the sheriff's contract. There was a question on who insures the car.
They insure the car.
They insure the
Yes,
car.
they do. They double check that.
What was the other recent insurance question that was brought up? I think Tom had brought it up. There was a double coverage of something on a policy that you...
I raised the issue with
The cruiser.
the cruiser.
I thought it was a Cole Harrison thing that you had caught. It wasn't too long ago, 2 or 3 meetings ago.
I can't remember how to.
I do remember the vehicle, we talked about the vehicle, because you were under the impression that we insured it all.
I just thought it was part of the fleet, but hopefully it's not.
It's not.
You got something. Sign the accounts payable warrant.
Second.
Made, seconded.
And there are two, if you want to make that part of the motion. I think this fiscal year 2015 and 16.
Make that part of the motion.
Sure.
Yeah.
As amended.
Second,
All in
yes.
favor? Any other business? Looking for a motion?
One thing, I don't know what the other business was. As far as the town, the new town hall do we really need a large piece of property? 3 acres, you could build a big building and have plenty of parking.
Yeah, I think we had decided that 3 acres would,
Yeah.
just for the town hall, 3 acres would do it.
If we can find a big property, great, but as far as I'm concerned, we haven't really had that much more of a need for ball fields. I haven't heard, years ago, back when we were coaching, there was a lot more kids than there are today, and there was a real shortage of fields. I don't think there's a shortage of fields now.
I think there still is, you know.
I don't need the outcry, I don't know, maybe there is.
But still, we need the outcries from your town hall.
Oh, that's more important.
And if we found 3 acres, 3 suitable acres, where we could have the town hall and parking, and it would give us everything we needed there from the municipality, then I'd go for it. That's my opinion.
I will approach someone this week.
You must have a piece of property in mind.
I've seen a piece of property that I've heard rumor it could be had. And it would be a good location for town hall.
Okay.
But maybe at our next meeting, I can give a little more information.
It's just like we've had just one or two people in town say they don't want it on Route 1 because it takes away from commercial, but at the same time, to me, having the property on or near Route 1 would only draw more business around it, because people have to make a stop for one thing, they'll make a stop for a couple other things, and I don't see that it would be detrimental, to have it.
No, I don't either. In
You know,
that case, it's getting to the point where any place in this area, within almost a 2-mile area, taking in with one, to me would be a good location.
I don't like that site.
Me
Uh,
too.
I just don't like that site.
oh, you mean the,
Route 1.
Route 1?
If it had some road frontage, maybe.
That's last resort for me.
Oh, that one side, that site, but there are other sites too, that might be.
Oh, yeah. Well, you mentioned that before.
I was just thinking if we could find a smaller piece that would still be large enough to do what we need to do for town hall, probably would bring the cost down considerably. And where we're going, we're talking 200,000-300,000.
Yep.
If we could find something for 3 acres, we ought to be able to be in maybe in 100 range or less.
Anything else? Look for motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
I'll set that under MRS 4056A, discussion of the expansion of duties for the position of fire chief.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
All in favor?
Motion's been made, seconded, all those in favor?